And we're back to exploring AI. I've decided to give you a case study on how to write a non-fiction book using ChatGPT, so we'll do it start to finish. I already have an idea of what I want to write. I'll just make it a second part to the one that I've already introduced in one of my ChatGPT tutorials. But if you don't know what to write about, ask ChatGPT. We'll use the free version here. First prompt, give me the 10 most profitable non-fiction book genres on Amazon. It's going to tell you that as it is the free version, it doesn't have access to updated data, but it should be enough to get an idea of what you want to write. If you found a genre, just ask ChatGPT to give you 10 book ideas in that specific niche. And from then on, you should have at least one idea that's worth pursuing as a starting project for you. As I said, I already have mine. I've made my ChatGPT video about a book that I've already published on Amazon. It's called 99 Ideas to Think About If You Want to Get Rich. And now we'll make it 99 Ideas to Think About If You Want to Be Happy. And the approach to writing this book using ChatGPT, which is, I think, the easiest approach, is to have these chapters disconnected. So the user, the reader, doesn't have to read chapter 1 to understand 2, and he doesn't have to read chapter 7 to 10 to understand chapter 15. So every chapter is kind of like a mini book in itself, and it can be understood even if the reader would jump back and forth in that book. And the easiest way to achieve that is to use kind of like a quote outline. So I want to have 99 quotes by famous people about happiness, fulfillment, the usual stuff. And here you can see the limits of ChatGPT, at least 3.5. It kind of like hung itself up here and it gives me the same quote by the same guy all the time. But the first 20 to 30 results are actually useful. And then you tell it to give you 10 more, give it 20 more. And if it comes up with the same, then make it give me 20 different quotes from 20 different people. And afterwards tell it to give you 20 more. And then just copy paste the ones that work until you have 99 generated by ChatGPT. Obviously 99 different ones. It's not a problem if it's the same person like 3 or 4 times in it, but it shouldn't be the same quote. In this case, Albert Schweitzer, I don't want to have him anymore. So let me add this here to the prompt. We've got some here. Give me 20 more. And he had actually added Albert Schweitzer again, but it specified that it's a joke. So ChatGPT likes to joke around now. Interesting. But you get the idea. This is your outline now for your book. You have 99 quotes, you have 99 people, and you can make every single one of them a chapter in your book. And this way to outline your nonfiction book definitely helps you to generate this book, but a reader doesn't have to read it from start to finish. You can jump back and forth, just pick a single quote and read the chapter about it, and the book is easily understood. So this would be the first step, and I will dive into the second one. So now I've copy-pasted the 99 quotes, and I've made sure that every single one is unique, and that we don't have the same author multiple times. Now it's time to write our main prompt and use these quotes. I would recommend that you save this prompt somewhere. It's actually quite important to use the same wording for this prompt every time, because ChatGPT likes to fumble around when you use a different wording here and there. But if you use the same prompt for every quote and then for every chapter in our book, it's going to ensure that we have the same style, the same formatting throughout our book, which is obviously important to have some form of consistency. I'll make it brief here. We will write an article about the following quotes, and then we'll insert each of these 99 quotes. It should be readable and easy to understand. Focus on giving the reader actionable advice on how to use the quote to improve his life. The goal is to give the reader tips on how to live happier and more fulfilled. Add bullet points, subheadings, and other formatting elements if appropriate. Try to write 1000 words. You're not going to get 1000 words. There's some limit. I don't know if it's officially defined, but from my experience, the limit is at around 600 to 800 words. I'll paste this prompt, then the first quote, and I'll run it. Once it's done, we'll copy it and then paste it into our book file here in OpenDocs. I'll make the quotes and the author a heading 1 so that we can use it later on for our table of contents. And I'll add a break, a page break. Under Insert, Menu Break, just select Page Break and then confirm. And we are ready to move on to the next quote. But first let's check, it's 678 words. So as I've said, around 600 to 800 is usually what you get when you prompt it to write the maximum or prompt it to write 1000 words. So same prompt, paste it here, select second quote, let it run again, then copy paste it into your book file. You may have to adjust the formatting here and there if you don't like something, but by using this approach, the good news is you don't have to make sure that there are good transitions between the chapters because they are disconnected. As I've said at the beginning of this video, this is the important part, because now the editing that we need to do manually is very minimal. I'm going to continue doing that until we've got our 99 articles. Now we've got all of our articles in our file. What we now need is an introduction. We'll ask ChatGPT yet again to write us one, and I explain the book briefly and I give the book title. So write a short introduction for a book called our book title. And then the book consists of 99 quotes by famous people and so forth. And the book delivers actionable advice to the reader to improve his life. We have it right here, copy paste it. Here's our table of contents. I'll put the introduction right there. Let me add a page break. We also need a pen name. Let's ask ChatGPT to give us 20 ideas for names. I want to have real names and not made up ones. For example, Positivity Papers or Joy Juncture. I want to have it sounding real. Still not good results. It's Emma Blissington and Grace Joyner, Ethan Smiley. I want to have a real first and last name. But now it's good. Let me use this one right here, Claire Harrison. Why not use a female name? Let's paste it here. And here you can see, if I go over this, we have 73,000 words. That's definitely a regular book. And we have 283 pages, at least here in this format. It's going to be more in Kindle, I would assume. Now you want to export it. You can export it as a PDF, but I've had a couple of issues with the Kindle upload when I did that. For me, the best results were when I actually used an HTML format. When you click on Save As, you've got a couple of data files to select. For example, docs should work. And here I want to use HTML. As I've said, this has given me the best results, at least so far. I'll keep current format. Let me open it in a browser and you can see what we've got now. It's this file right here. And this is what we're now going to upload to KDP. But before we do that, we also need a book cover. Many ways to create it. I'm going to use a free option. You can use it as well, so that you don't have to invest money when you want to recreate something like this. So we've got our book written or generated by ChatGPT. Now it's time to create the book cover. I'm going to use free tools and I'm going to make it as simple as possible for this project. I would recommend, if you're a total beginner to design and making all of this stuff and creating books for KDP, to use Canva.com. The basic features are free to use, and you can use templates. There are lots under design right here. I'm going to use the default sizes here for book covers, and then you can pick under design templates. Be careful, some have this crone icon, which is a pro design, and this means that this is not freely available. You have to pay for the pro stuff, but there are lots of free examples, free templates to use. I'm just going to use this one that I've already used for my Getting Rich book, and here's a coloring book that I'm going to make a video about next. But here you can see it, I've just opened a new page, has the same size then, and I'm going to use the template. My browser is set to German, so everything here is German. But you can treat this now like any design project, for example in GIMP. So everything is editable. Let me open our book here. So for example, here's the book title. I would simply copy this and then paste it right here. I've already done the basic layout for my last book in this series. So instead of doing it here from scratch, I'll just delete it and copy this one. And now I'll have to change that from ideas to get rich to ideas to be happy. We have a different author name. Let me copy paste this here. And this is certainly a must read, not in finance literature. Let's just make it a must read for everyone. Something like this. And you can also edit this stuff up here. Advice from the world's greatest thinkers, whatever you want to add here. Let me change the colors. Green is usually associated with money. We want to have something that's happier. So maybe it is orange color. I use this. So just hover over these different elements in the template, left click, and they are selected, and then you can adjust them with the functions up here on top. And this looks fine, we can use that. Once you've got your design, just go to share on the top right, and here you can go to download. I want to have page 2 only. So let me deselect everything else. And it's a good idea to use a JPEG for the most part. This has given me the best results for Kindle books. And then you already have your book cover to use directly in KDP. So we've got our book ready for uploading. We've got our pen name here. We'll go to KDP. If you open an account, you will see this page and a bookshelf. And here I have the last one that I've uploaded and my new coloring book. I'm going to make a tutorial about that next. Just click on create. We have a Kindle ebook ready. So create ebook. And now you have to pick and choose a couple of things here. First up is English. We have our author name right here. Let me copy paste that from ChatGPT. We've got a book title. I've got that somewhere here in the prompt, right there. Next up, you could add a subtitle. We don't have one. We don't have to add contributors. We have this pen name for the single author. Now we need a book blurb. So let me use this prompt right here. And I'll change it. We don't want to have an introduction. We want to have a book blurb for the book called, then book title. The book consists of 99 quotes by famous people about being happy and fulfilled, and then with actionable advice to the reader to improve his life. Focus on selling the book to potential readers. We'll just run it, and sometimes you have this option here in ChatGPT where you can pick one of the two responses. I just pick the first one, then I copy paste it. And here you can style it a little bit. I do remember in early days you had to use HTML here, but now they have a smaller text editor. We just add a little bit of bold text and heading, but then we're good for the next section. I own the copyright, so I'll check this box. It's not explicit materials, no. Reading age, in this case I would keep this just to the defaults. We don't have to use this, it's optional. Our primary market is Amazon.com for English. Then we have to choose categories. I would put it into self-help. Then we have happiness, for example. I'll check that. You can add 3 categories in total currently. Just click on add another category. Then go over it again. Self-help and maybe motivational, something like this. And I'll use a third one. Now we need keywords. If you can't think of any, just use ChatGPT yet again. Give me 7 keywords people would use to search for a book like this on Amazon. And this is good inspiration to use for our 7 keywords here. So exactly this used by Amazon, I can't tell, but it should be at least somewhat connected to what people type into the search bar when they look for books. Let me use these 7 words. We are ready to release the book. So save and continue. Next page is about uploading the script and the book cover and then checking it. We've saved it as an HTML, so right here. Next up, I'll upload the book cover. We've saved that as a JPEG. You can also use the cover creator here. It's not bad when you're totally out of ideas or when you don't know how to design a book cover. They've got some templates inbuilt, but it's better to use Canva. We have AI generated content here. its entire work with minimal or no editing. ChatGPT was used. Images set to none and translations to none. The previewer, it might take some time because it converts the pasted file to this, I believe it's EPUB file format. Then it runs a quality check, and when it's done you can launch the previewer and check what it's going to look like on Kindle, page by page. We don't have any quality issues. If you've got them, you need to fix them. So it, for example, checks spelling, stuff like this. When it comes to images in the book, it's about the bleed. So for an ebook, that means if the images exceed what the screen reader shows, you need to fix that. But we're good here, so save and continue. Final page is for the pricing. There are a couple of options that you can use. You don't have to. For example, this one here for KDP Select. If you only want to sell it on Amazon, you can check that. It gives you a couple of promotion opportunities. I don't want to sell it anywhere, so I can easily check it. It's going to be exclusive then. And if you check it, make sure that you, I don't know, in a half a year from now, you don't sell your book elsewhere because you're going to run into trouble. We want to pick 70% because this is the $2.99 region. If we make it 35%, you can make it 99 cents per book. But this means that you would make like, I don't know, 25 cents on a book sale because Amazon also takes a little bit of money for the delivery. So I'm going to use $2.99, which is the lowest price for the 70% rate. And you can see that if you adjust the price for all of these different markets, royalty is automatically calculated. I don't even know what Brazilian real, what that's worth. I believe it's real. But let me just use something like this. And here you can see, for example, in dollars, it will be 7 cents per book sale. This is the delivery cost. Let me make that $2.99. Usually that's a price that's used in Germany. And I make the other European markets $2.99 as well. This is up to you what you use here. If you make it 70%, you have to stay between $2.99 and $9.99. So if you want to make it more expensive, you can only use a 35% rate. But now we're done, and it takes up to 72 hours for this book title to go live on Amazon, and there might be some issues. So there's now a manual review going on, and there are issues with the book cover. You're going to get an email and you have to fix this before it goes live. When there are issues, it's usually this. So there's an image in the book cover and the bleed is not enough, this space between the image and what the screen reader can show. But we're done with this now. Next up is the paperback version. I shoot these video segments over multiple days. So we are now already live with our Kindle ebook. It was approved. If I check the US market, here it is. I can't buy it because my browser is set to German, so it has a geolocation here. But if I, for example, use the German Amazon version right here, book is live and I could buy it for $2.99. So it's already available for purchase. Now it's time to create the paperback. And by the way, you can do that simultaneously, so you don't have to wait for a Kindle ebook to go live to be able to set up the paperback. For some reason, it wants you to reselect the categories for the book. Let me just select 3 more self-help categories here, and I save the categories. But most of the other stuff is just taken from the Kindle ebook. It's the same information anyway, so Amazon does that for you. Let me choose general happiness and motivational. Keywords are taken, publication date, release date, we'll keep that, and we can move on to the next section here. And here is something new. We need a print ISBN. If you're totally new to it, you can read what it is right here. But if you're a newbie, you definitely want Amazon to assign a free ISBN to your book. So just confirm here, but be aware that if you have done that once, this is connected to the book, you can't change it. So if you've got your own, you can select that right here, but for the most part, you won't have your own, especially when you're a beginner and this is the first time that you are trying to publish a book. Print options, I want to use black and white. We don't need colored, and then you can use white paper or cream paper. The default is white, I use that. 6 by 9 inches is fine, but you can select different sizes here. We'll keep the rest. Now we'll upload our file again. This is something that you need to do here once more, so it doesn't just take the Kindle file. And now we need a cover. For paperback, it's a double fold, or I don't know what you call it in English, but we need front, back cover, and a spine. So we can't just upload our Kindle version. Instead, we have to design our own, for example, using GIMP, or we use this cover book creator that's inbuilt in KDP. Let me just check this here and I continue. Or we can now use from our computer the cover, and you can see that right here it gives you different templates to choose. We'll just use the first one here. Looks somewhat fine. Let me dismiss this. So here we have a problem with the spacing between the edges of the book and our title. So the letters will be cut off a little bit. And this is something that won't run. So if you submit this for review, Amazon will tell you that it's not publishable because of this. So we need to resize that. I want to make this tutorial about creating book covers from scratch. So I'll just show you a simple solution that works. For me, this is a throwaway project anyway that I do for my tutorial. But maybe I'll make a more in-depth tutorial in the future about creating book covers. But for this one, let's just open GIMP, for example. We'll paste our book cover right here. And then we can just scale it down. Hold Shift when you do, like so. Click on Scale, then create a new layer. Let me resize my window a little bit. Put it to bottom, so below our cover. I use the color picker right here. I want to have one of this grayish color tones. Then I use the bucket fill tool, left click. And this should do for our project. It's not perfect, as I've said. This is not a tutorial about creating perfect book covers. I just want to show you a simple solution. Make sure to save it as a JPEG. So call this book cover paperback.jpg, export, confirm. And now we can go back to KDP. Let me load this again, cover paperback. And I use the same layout. First one, same design. And now the letters are fine, they're not cut off anymore. So we can live with that. A couple of options here. It's fairly easy to use. We can choose colors for text, primary and secondary. Let me make primary and secondary somewhat grayish. We don't have much primary here, but secondary, you can see this the background color here. I want to have it somewhat similar to my book cover. So let me use this one right here. Text color, now a black one should be better for high contrast. I'll keep that. You can change the text by simply left clicking. Let me use the text that I've generated with ChatGPT at first, the title and the author. And for the section below, I'll use our book blurb. Now finally, we can add an author photo. Let us just use Midjourney and we'll generate one. I'll make this female author sitting at a desk, something like this. When you use Midjourney, be careful with fingers. So you want to count them because there's still an issue even in version 5. And I don't want to have such a young author, so let me specify by adding like 50 years old. Let me just use the first image. And I mean, if you look closely, there's one finger too many, I would say. Or this finger doesn't really fit, has a different curve. But anyway, you can upload it here. Once again, this is a throwaway project that I'm just creating for my tutorial. When you want to do it for a real life project of yours, be careful with the details. But you can upload the author photo right here. We'll save and preview. And we're good with this one. Save and submit. Now we'll have to specify the AI generated content yet again. Now we have a photo, which is the author photo. We have to launch the preview and approve it before we can submit anything. And here's something that you definitely want to check, because the table of contents, it might be different from the page number that KDP gives your book. So if we check this, for example, what is it? The first one here, Dalai Lama quote, it's page 12. And I believe it wasn't in our table of contents. Yeah, it's page 9. So if you want to have a table of contents, you need to adjust this now manually in your OpenOffice file. If you have it like this, just right click on it and then you can edit the index and then adjust all of the contents here. I don't want to do this for our project, so I'll just delete the table of contents. You can right click and then delete the index, and then I re-upload this file. Keep in mind when you re-upload stuff, you have to confirm via a box right here on KDP that the information that you've provided is still accurate. But now we're good here. I'll approve. Then it shows you the printing cost. It's just for your information. Save and continue. And now we are at the pricing section. Looks somewhat similar to the Kindle stuff, but here we have a 60% rate for our royalties. So when you put the printing cost into consideration, we need to make it at least $11.27 to cover the cost. If you are below that, it's going to give you a warning message, so that won't work. You make that $14.99. And you can see you don't make much money off of this. It's just $2.23 for an entire book. And you can adjust this stuff obviously to your liking. And there's also an expanded distribution if you want to do that. It's a 40% rate, but it's then going to be added to different marketplaces. If you want that, up to you. But be careful to view the details and requirements. I'm not going to check it for our book here, but I'm going to adjust all of the other prices to have this 99 at the end because this is usually what sells. When you're done, publish your paperback book. It's going to get saved, and then you're entering this typical review process yet again, this time for the paperback version. Final step for us is to create the hardcover book. You can see our paperback is now already live. I could buy it, for example, on the German Amazon page. Let us create the hardcover. Process is almost exactly the same as for the paperback. First page, you can just use that entirely. We can even keep our categories. In our case, we don't have a low content book. This is, for example, notebooks, so empty books, journals, stuff like this. And we don't have a large print book, so we keep that unchecked. But if you hover around the question right next to it, it's explained in detail what this is. So if you have an unusual book, you may want to check this. But for our non-fiction book, primarily text-based, we can move on here. You have to assign a new ISBN for the hardcover. Let us upload our manuscript again. And here's the difference between paperback and hardcover. You may have to check your cover yet again, depending on the size of the text on your cover. This is not going to fit. So let us launch the cover book creator yet again. I'll upload the paperback that we've created, which was a little bit smaller than the Kindle. We'll choose the same design. And it doesn't fit. You can already see that here. Let's upload the author image and then add the text. We had our book blurb right here and then the book title and author. But we need to fix the cover yet again because part of the text is being cut off. So this is something that you may have to adjust yet again compared to the paperback. Our cover is not going to look that good, but I'm just trying to show you how you can fix this. So we'll scale it down yet again. Now let me upload it. And we're inside of the limits now. We fix the background color and the text color. Alright, once you've got that, as I've said, I have to reassign an ISBN, so that's different from the Paperback. And I have to specify the AI generated content here, so ChatGPT for entire work, Midjourney for one image, no translation. To launch the preview and approve it, I've gotten rid of the table of contents here as well, because I didn't want to have to deal with the page numbers. Printing costs are way higher for hardcover, therefore the price has to be higher, otherwise you're not going to make any money on it at all. We have to use $19.02 to break even with Amazon's 60% rate and the printing cost. Let me just make this $29.99 and I confirm. And this is now in review. So once again, up to 72 hours until it's reviewed and it goes live. So here we are now. Our hardcover is also live. Let me check the German Amazon page. You can see Kindle book, paperback, hardcover. Everything is available and it works. So this is the entire process of how you can create such a Kindle book. Next up, I'm going to show you how you can create coloring books using AI, and a couple of these processes that will overlap. So we're going to use Canva, for example, again. And all of the KDP part, it is somewhat the same. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.